Is your child acting differently? Maybe they're just burned out.
Do kids get burnout like adults? Dr. Laura Saunders from the Institute of Living is here now with more. Do kids really get burned? I mean, it's such a conundrum here. I'm thinking, do kids really get burned out?
So, first, hello, friends, and happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
So, yeah, I think they do. I think it looks different than adults. And remember, adults have a cognitive ability or a verbal ability to say, X, Y, and Z has been so stressful, so that's why I'm so exhausted, or that's why I don't want to go into work, or that's why I'm tired of making dinner at night, right? Adults have that ability, that verbal ability. Kids have less of that ability. So their mental, physical, emotional exhaustion happens. And they are overwhelmed, they are irritable, they are apathetic, and they have less of an ability to kind of voice what the sources of that are. Technically, at this point in the school year, they shouldn't be burnt out because it's only the end of October. However, there's still so many changes. I mean, I've talked to several elementary school teachers, and they have said repeatedly how so many children are struggling. They see the irritability, they see increased social difficulties, and they see really poor academic performance, that they're definitely delayed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot going on for the kids. And I know we're living in an overscheduled world too, but let's talk about the signs. Number one, you say just procrastination could be a sign.
Right. You know your child. You know if your child tends to be a bit of a procrastinator anyway. What we're talking about is something that's a little bit more excessive. Really, procrastination is tied into just complete lack of motivation. It's closer to an apathy. They seem to stop caring about things. They used to want to go to sports practice, or want to go to a club, or want to go to their art class, want to go to dance, and they just don't want to anymore. They're just apathetic. A higher level of irritability. Your child seems to be more annoyed, just really annoyed with all the little kind of details of life. And maybe some outward anxiety or fear of different situations, negativity and or trouble concentrating. So what we're talking about is what's in excess of what your child's baseline is.
What you say stress, a little bit of stress is not always a bad thing, right? It helps to motivate a little bit.
Stress motivates all of us, right?
Yeah.
Right. If we didn't have to, if we didn't have a test, or if we didn't have a project, or if we didn't have a deadline, we didn't have that little bit of stress, we wouldn't do it. I mean, there's those like super high achievers, but they're no fun anyway. And for the most part, we need a little bit of stress. It helps motivate us. A little bit of stress and anxiety can be a good thing. It's when it becomes excessive. It's when it's prolonged. It's when it's chronic, right? We've been in a global pandemic for 18 months, 19 months. All the changes, and really, I think to some degree, and I actually have heard some parents say this in the past few days, everyone's waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? Could we be back out of school in the winter again? And I hope not, but I think that's everyone's mindset.
Yeah, and we can't avoid the pandemic and the extra situation, but this can happen also, right, with kids just having too much to do, and as a parent, you might want to drive them harder. Come on, we got to study this, we got to make your schedule, we got to make it work. What really should we be doing if you think your child's burned out?
Well, I think you need to figure out ways to dial it back. I am a big fan, I say this all the time, have a talk with the teachers, email the teachers, email your school support personnel, get their impression of how your child's doing. Again, your kids, if this is a kind of a baseline, well, they're always sort of low energy, or if things seem to be a little bit worse. Check in with your child, ask them, see if you can help them identify. I would say, I like to do it as an identifier. It seems to me that you have lower motivation, or it seems to me that you're more tired than you usually are. Do you feel more tired? Label it for them, see if they can relate to it or also identify it, and then try to take it from there and problem solve, come up with ways to dial things back and reduce expectations.
All right. Thank you, Doctor. Happy Wednesday. We appreciate all of your advice.
Take care.
All right. See you next
Thank you.
Wednesday.